Hey, what's going on? You're now tuned in to the PVD Horror Podcast. I'm Brandon, and today I'm joined by actress Elena Sanchez to talk about her new film, Boneface, which is now available to purchase on VOD. Elena, thanks for coming on the show.
Hello, Brandon. Thanks for having me. Excited
Uh,
to be here.
no problem. So, with you having worked on several horror films and television shows such as Get Out, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2013, From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, would you consider yourself a horror fan?
I guess you could say that. Yeah, it's
Mm,
not, I didn't really set out to do all these horror movies, but I guess it just kind of happened and I can appreciate them. I would
yeah.
say it's not necessarily my favorite genre, but I can definitely appreciate it. And I enjoy working on horror movies, so there's
Yeah. It's definitely, horror is definitely shaping out to be, more of an impact for, actors to want to come work on films. Now you just had like Demi Moore, win for The Substance and stuff. And so it's being noted as, it's just not just, people who just killing people all the time. It's
yeah.
definitely a good story to it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that, that you're a part of, the genre. So,
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I love exactly what you said. I love that nowadays. It's not just like gratuitous horror, but
hmm
there's actually a story behind
yeah.
it. And that's what I enjoy.
Yeah. Now, what sparked your interest in pursuing an acting career, and how did you transition into performing stunts?
So I never imagined I would be an actress.
Mm,
Let's start with that. I was in college for hotel management at Cornell, and it was interesting, but I went to the career fairs that we had at school, and I would walk by all these different companies' tables and I could just not imagine myself at any of them. And I was like, something's missing. What is it? What am I looking for here? And then we had to take electives outside of our major to fulfill certain requirements. And for my arts elective, I decided to take an acting class and I just fell in love with it. And I was so excited to go to that class every week. And I thought to myself, well, imagine being this excited to go to work every day.
yeah.
Like, is this a thing? Can I do this? And I just set out to do it and I didn't have a plan B and I just started fighting for it. And then the stunt thing happened kind of on accident because I didn't really think that stunts was, first of all, I didn't really know exactly what it was. And I also didn't think that that was something I would do, but I was a gymnast my whole
Okay.
life, all the way through college. And so some people do have some kind of a specialty. And so for me, that was gymnastics. And I just started getting auditions for stuff that was more athletic. And the very first job I booked was a commercial where they were looking for an actress who was specifically a gymnast because I needed to hang on wires and do like zero gravity wire work type stuff and jump on a trampoline and flip
Mm.
around. And I got home from that job and it was so fun. And I thought to myself, well, I think I just did stunts. This was really cool. Like, how do I do more of this? And then I just started researching it and started submitting myself to stunt coordinators who are the ones who hire us. And yeah, it just kind of happened.
Oh, that's awesome. Because that's the thing. It's like, a lot of people never know how to get into a certain field. Like for me, growing up, I think doing voice acting for like cartoons and stuff was always something that stuck out to me, but I just never knew how to get involved into it. And so I think it's so cool because, a lot of people are, there's so many people like you online that are kind of like on your YouTube channel telling a little bit about the companies and everything and how you can get involved and showing how you do like the table talks and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool that you kind of give back to, up and coming people that want to be involved into this craft.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, yeah, I love to do that and I love to help people and
Hmm
also just let people know that you can do it. Like
hmm
I didn't know a single person in the industry. And I believe me, I tried. I was like, Dad, Mom, like, come on, you gotta know someone, anyone, like a
Yep.
friend of a friend of a friend's friend. Like, nope, didn't know anyone. And I somehow broke into the business. So it's very possible nowadays with the internet, all
Hmm.
the information is there.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah.
And it's really cool because The Hunger Games Catching Fire marked the beginning of your feature film career. Can you describe your experience working on a high profile project like that for your first time in the industry?
Well, so it was amazing.
Mm,
I didn't understand what I was doing there. I thought it was a mistake. I thought I was gonna get fired. So the first couple of weeks we were just training. I at that point I had never done any kind of weapons work. So we started training with 8711, which is an amazing stunt team, and they started teaching us with weapons and but meantime I hadn't we hadn't been on camera yet in any scene, so insecure me was thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get replaced. Like
mm,
if I mess up, or they're gonna realize that I just suck. Like and so it was a little nerve-wracking. After the first scene where we were all on camera, I was able to take a deep breath and be like, okay, this is happening. They can't replace me anymore. And I just enjoyed it. It was like every set was incredibly elaborate and amazing, and I mean it was the biggest movie of the year at the time, and I just couldn't believe how lucky I was to be there and just surrounded by all these amazing actors, and I mean every department had the best of the best. So I felt very lucky to be there.
that's awesome. Now, you also portrayed a walker in the hit show The Walking Dead. What zombie films did you study to prepare for your role to become, a zombie?
It's funny you mentioned that because I hadn't really seen that many zombie movies other than Zombieland, and the
Okay.
zombies in Zombieland are very different to the zombies in on The Walking Dead. And so I just kind of like when I got to set, they they kind of tell you like this is how the zombies on this show walk. There is apparently like the extras on the show apparently go through some kind of like zombie school training thing,
Mm,
which I did not get to do, but I feel like that would have been fun.
okay.
But yeah, so they basically just tell you like and show you oh this because they've all been doing it for so long. Even the crew members, they all like know how the zombies walk, so they just kind of show you what to do.
Hmm. So what was it like, just becoming a zombie with the makeup and everything like that, the clothes, how did it feel?
Yeah, so the makeup, luckily I had done prosthetic makeup stuff before, but you basically you have a very early call time because you go into the makeup trailer early and they glue these like pieces on your face depending on how dead you're looking.
Yep.
Um, sometimes sometimes it's just actual makeup without gluing pieces on. But those guys are the best of the best. They, have been doing this every day for years. So the process is relatively quick. I want to say maybe like an hour,
Okay. That's not
hour
bad.
and a half tops. Unless like sometimes they have those walkers where it's like their bodies are falling apart and everything. Those guys
Yeah.
obviously take a little longer. But yeah, and then the clothes are just like super tattered clothes and it's fun. Yeah.
Now, you also contribute to a numerous amount of Marvel films, and you're also featured in the upcoming Captain America: Brave New World, scheduled to release on February 14th. Can you discuss your experience working on these projects?
So Marvel is amazing.
Mm,
All those movies are like a well-oiled machine. All again, you walk in and it's the best of the best. Most of the movies I've done for Marvel, I've been a part of just some of the like bigger action sequences.
okay.
Like on the Spider-Man movies, for example, I did like the Washington Monument scene. I did the ferry breaking in half scene. I did in the latest one I was in Times Square.
Mm,
Um, so it's fun to be a part of those big scenes where the sets are really cool. Like, yeah, the ferry scene was so much fun. We were like on an actual ferry, which was obviously on the back lot of the studio, not on water, but they built an actual ferry and broke it in half, and it was so cool to be a part of that. For the Avengers movies for Infinity War and Endgame, I was one of Gamora's additional stunt doubles.
Okay.
So that was cool to get painted all green and wear her like sexy suit.
Yep.
Excuse me. Yeah, and then for Captain America, which comes out Valentine's Day, that'll be a fun date night movie.
Hmm.
I also got to be part of a couple of the bigger action sequences. I can't tell you exactly what I got to do, or I'm gonna be in trouble with Marvel.
Yeah, okay. We'll keep it on the
But
hush.
yeah, you'll have to see it when it comes out. I will say it was very special watching Harrison Ford work
Yeah.
because
Yep.
he's a legend, obviously, and that was just amazing to be a part of.
That's awesome. So I also had the opportunity to visit your YouTube page, like I said earlier, where you share some of the behind the scenes footage of your stunts. What has been your favorite stunt that you could still think of on some of your films that you've been working in the past and up to
Wow.
currently?
Hmm. Oh. I mean, I do like to mention the when I was hanging off a helicopter with Spider-Man. That was
Mm.
just fun and crazy, and I never would have imagined that I would do something like that and it would be considered work.
Yeah.
I do I really love all kinds of zero gravity wire work
Mm.
type stuff. So, for example, I did a movie called Geostorm with Gerard Butler, which unfortunately didn't do so well, but we're not going to talk
Mm.
about that part. Um, but that was fun because I got to, and it was also hard, but I was wearing like a huge space suit. It was like 60 or 70 pounds, and we were also on wires because we're supposed to be floating in outer space. Um, so yeah, I love doing that kind of floaty stuff. Um, Gosh, what else? I mean, there have been a lot that have been really fun. There have been some that have been a little more painful and a little less fun.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
That's cool because yeah, I had seen one when you was set on fire, and I was just like, oh man, like that is crazy.
Yeah, so the Firebird, it's funny you mentioned that one because uh, and that one I did fairly recently. Like I was I
Hmm.
think 10 years into my career when I did that one. And I had always said, nah, I don't need to do Fireburn. I'm good. Like that's kind of the one thing that I don't really need to do. Like I'm good, good. And then I booked a role in a horror film as a witch, and in the film, the witch gets set on fire. And
Hmm.
so this was the first time I got asked to do a fire burn where I was the character versus
Hmm.
just being the stunt double and doing the fire burn for someone else. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm ever gonna do a fire burn, this is the time to do it because it's me as the character. First of all, they'll be able to get way better shots because they'll be able to get my face. I won't have to hide it because I'm not the stunt double. And so and they asked me if I wanted a stunt double for it, but I trusted everyone involved and I thought, you know what, if I'm ever gonna do it, this is the time. And
Yeah,
so I
there
did
you
it
go.
and survived to tell the tale and I'm good. You know, I don't need to do another one now. It's like been there, done that.
That's awesome. Now, let's discuss your latest film, Boneface. Can you give a synopsis on the film?
Yes. So it's like Friday the 13th meets Clue,
Hmm.
which means it basically it starts off as a horror slasher type film and then turns into a murder mystery. So Jeremy London and I play a sheriff and a deputy, and we come across this horrible, horrible crime scene where a bunch of campers have been murdered at a summer camp. And we follow the clues to a local diner down the road, and we walk into this diner and we find a very interesting but also somewhat suspicious group of patrons. So
Hmm.
we know that one of them must be the killer but we don't know who it is. So then we spend the rest of the movie trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, you know, when it comes to, slasher films or anything like that, a cool mask is always a must, and have to say Boneface delivers. What went through your head when you first seen the mask for the first time?
Oh, it was gross. I was like, I mean, it was very elaborate,
Yep.
and I thought to myself, wow, they did a really good job with this mask. And obviously, it was very important to them
Hmm.
to make an amazing mask. I mean, it's the name of the movie, Boneface, so you have to
Yep.
deliver with the mask. And then I realized the other day, also from someone commenting on one of our trailers, like I realized I've worked with Leatherface,
Hmm.
and now I've worked with Boneface, and they're kind of similar in terms of they recycle pieces of their
Yep.
victims. Oh my gosh, that's so gross. I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, so it's like a different form of that.
Yeah. Now, how did you prepare for your role as Deputy Macaulay?
So I wanted to approach it very naturally and just thought to myself like, okay, well, how would Elena react in this situation?
Hmm.
Um, as far as preparation, I made sure to really learn the script inside and out because there's a lot of dialogue, but also with so many different characters. When we're inside of the diner, there's like 10, 12 characters, and we're all kind of talking at once.
Yeah.
So it's really important to make sure you know your dialogue very well. And then, yeah, as far as like how would Elena react in this situation, but at the same time, I kept in mind that I am a police officer, and police officers have a certain amount of training to not let their emotions interfere with the
Hmm.
job they have to do. Because I think Elena would have definitely freaked out a lot more and probably been more emotional than Deputy McCully.
Yeah.
So I tried to taper that bit down a little bit and bring the professionalism up a little bit.
That's awesome. Now, yeah, we had talked about it a little bit earlier about, how it had the slasher vibes and the murder mystery vibes, and you were a big fan of the film Knives Out. So how was it like, working on a project like this?
Yeah, so I love the Knives Out movies and I mean I'm a huge Ryan Johnson fan in general and I was lucky enough to work on the movie Looper with him.
Okay.
I've been following him since then and the Knives Out movies came out and I just thought they were so clever and so amazing and thought, man, I hope one day I get to do a murder mystery like this and then this one fell in my lap and I mean, it's no Knives Out.
Mm,
Just gonna be clear.
yeah.
But it's a fun murder mystery, and I was really excited to just get the call for it and also not have to audition, which is every actor's dream. I think this was the first. Oh, that's not true. It was my first like lead role that was offered to me without me having to audition. So that also meant a
Mm.
lot to me.
Yeah, that's big. So, like I told you earlier, you did a great job in this film, and it was really cool, to see you take action, on such like a role like that to try to just crack this case. But, I've always been told by various actors that horror films offer the most enjoyable on-set experiences. What was it like working with this cast on Boneface?
It was so much fun. So we were filming in Mississippi. Most of the movie takes place inside of this diner.
Mm,
Excuse me. And half of the cast in the diner were like my dear friends from way before. So some of
okay.
us went way back, like David Calloway and Richie Montgomery. We all met, well, Richie I actually met on Texas Chainsaw, I think, for the
Okay.
first time. And then David Calloway I met on The Magnificent Seven, which Richie was also on. Richie I've done like 8 or 9 movies with at this point. He's amazing. But so him and David play the two biker dudes. And then Miles Doliak, who played the construction guy, who was also our lead producer on the film and who's an amazing human being. And he's also an amazing director. And I've been in two movies that he directed, and he's actually who put me in for this role. So I'm like getting to hang out in this diner with some of my best friends in the world. And then Jeremy London, who I
Hmm.
had also done another movie with the year before. So it's just like when you get to do a movie like that and you know everyone and it's all your good friends, it's just it's so much fun. I feel so lucky to be able to call that work.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had seen on your Instagram page you guys had taken pictures of the premiere. What was that like?
That was a lot of fun. So we premiered it in New Orleans,
Okay.
which a lot of the cast and crew were from New Orleans, and Miles, our producer, is also the head of the Loyola film program in New Orleans. So they've got deep roots in New Orleans, so it was important for us to premiere it there. And we had a big showing, and it was so fun to watch it with a crowd that was so into it, and they were like yelling and screaming and laughing and gasping and clapping, and yeah, it's obviously, they might have all been a little bit biased because it was a lot of our friends and stuff,
Hmm.
but it's really fun to watch a movie with that kind of energy in the room, and it makes you feel really good, which is obviously always nice. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then after, we all just kind of hung out and chatted about it, and yeah, it was really special.
That's awesome. Now, like I said earlier, with you working on so many big films, um, what is it like for you to also just, take part in like independent horror films such as this, to sharpen your craft? How was the experience like?
So the main difference, I think, between the bigger blockbusters and these smaller indies is, first of all, usually the amount of crew members.
Hmm.
On the bigger movies, you'll have 100, 200, 300 crew members on set. And on the smaller indies, you'll have maybe 40 or 50, um, if even that. And the other difference is that when problems come up, you can't just throw money at them.
Yeah.
So on an indie, there's more kind of creative problem solving, and often there's people wearing multiple hats. So sometimes they might be a little more stressed because they have a higher workload. Um, but it's definitely kind of a more intimate feel because everyone is a little closer and works a little more closely together. Whereas on the bigger ones, everyone has their like specific spot, and they kind of like, you stay in your lane. And for me, as an actress, I'm not doing leads in Marvel movies yet, but on these smaller indies, I get to play larger roles, which fulfill me creatively.
Yeah. That's awesome because, I just love the way how the film ends. I mean, is this the last of Boneface? Can we see more or what do you think?
I think there could be a sequel. I mean, we
Okay.
were talking about it on set, and we would make jokes like, "Oh, you get into the sequel, and oh, you're not gonna make it," and like, yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those films that lends itself to a
Yeah,
sequel.
definitely. Yeah, I would definitely love to see a sequel to Boneface. So,
Yeah.
if that can happen, I would really enjoy that. What are some things that you learned from working on this project?
Huh. Um, I mean, I think I learned something on every project, but
Hmm.
but I think, so this was the first movie where I was the lead.
Hmm.
And coming from having done a lot of stunts in, especially like the beginning of my career, I was mostly doing stunts, and that kind of shapes you in the way of gotta think how to word this. So
Hmm.
as a stunt person, you also very much stay in your lane and you just do what you're told. You don't have any creative input. And you also want to make sure that people are never waiting for you and that you do everything perfectly the first take. Now, being on set as an actor, this movie made me realize that I need to be more confident to take risks
Hmm.
that I wouldn't be taking as a stunt person. Like as an actor, I am allowed to give creative input and I am allowed to question certain choices and think like, well, actually I think my character would do this. Whereas as a stunt double, like you would never even consider
Yeah.
doing that.
Yep.
So I think just kind of transitioning the mindset from more of a stunt mindset to more of a creative actor mindset with more freedom creatively. I think that's what this movie helped me do and realize and so every movie I've done since then I'm trying to get better at that and learning to trust myself in terms of it is okay to try different things as an actor and you're not going to get in trouble.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's been an interesting learning curve for me.
That's awesome. And like I said earlier, you're always giving back to, up and coming actors. What is some information or anything like key facts that you can share with someone that's listening right now that's looking to get into this, this field?
Well, do you mean film or stunts or acting or all of the above?
All the above.
Well, first of all, there is so much information out there.
Hmm.
Nowadays, it's really easy, whether it's on social media or just the internet, you can learn anything you need to learn about being on set. Then I would follow people who you want to work with and whose work you love on social media. A lot of them just give tips and talk about how they did certain things, and that wealth of information is literally at your fingertips.
Yep.
So take it. Um, and then I think most importantly, also just be creative and make things, whether it's by yourself or whether it's with a group of friends. And I mean, our devices
Yep.
have 4K cameras, like also in the palm of your hand. So use it. Start making short films and you don't need to publish them or post them immediately. Like at first, just do it to practice, to see what works and see what doesn't work. Learn how to edit. You can edit on your phone, you can learn how to
Hmm.
edit on your computer. There's so many YouTube tutorials. And then once you start making more stuff and learning how to make it look more polished, then start a YouTube channel, put it online and ask for feedback. And yeah,
There you go.
I think you asked for one piece of advice and I
Oh,
gave
now
you
that was
four.
perfect. That was perfect. It was definitely spot on because, that's the main thing. We just love to showcase every aspect of, this field of working in film. So you definitely hit the nail on the head, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, can you share any info on any upcoming projects? And can you tell the listeners where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so well, okay, we talked about Boneface, we talked about Captain America.
Yep.
I just finished another movie that I'm really excited about called The Neglected.
Hmm.
And I think you're gonna like this one too. It's a detective thriller, and I play detective opposite Josh Duhamel.
Okay.
And we also have Dylan Sprouse in the cast and Till Schweiger, who is a very famous German actor, which made the German in me very happy. And yeah, that one's a really cool script. It kind of reminded me of Seven, the movie
Okay.
Seven,
Yep.
Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. So that one, we just finished that right before Christmas. So that one won't be out till I guess maybe later this year or beginning of next year.
Okay.
And as on social media everywhere, I'm the Elena Sanchez, which sounds very pretentious, but Elena Sanchez is a very common name and it was already
Yes.
taken.
Yep.
I had to add just THE in front of it.
There you go. Well, Elena, thank you so much for coming on the show. For everyone listening, make sure you check out Boneface, available now on VOD, and also Captain America: Brave New World, scheduled for release on February 14th. You don't want to miss this. We will be back next week with another episode. Until then, take it easy.